Hello and welcome to another 7 Minutes in Control with Rob Allen. I'm very excited to come back to you. It's been a little while, but good things are worth waiting for, and I know that I've got an excellent and great thing today. I'm joined by Scott Muench of J2 Innovations. How's it going, Scott?
Very well, thank you, Rob. Good to be here.
Yeah, awesome. Glad to have you here. It's good stuff. You and I caught up. Congratulations, man, on your half marathon.
Yes, the last time we were together was in San Antonio, and we were running the trails. I think we went out for a little 10-mile run. It was 5 miles out, 5 miles back. And come to find out, I got a little bit lost, so it ended up being a little bit longer than that. But Daryl from KMC, we got to probably the last 9.5, and he said, I'm going to go a little bit further and make it an even 20. So yeah. It's all relative to how good a shape you are in. But
yeah.
It was a good time.
It was a good time, and your first marathon, you had a great time.
Thanks.
Sub 2 hours. That's a heck of a way to go, man, and congratulations.
It was all downhill. I didn't feel like it, though.
Awesome. All right, so what I have you in town for is, or what you came in town for was, we're going to do a lunch and learn.
That's right.
Tomorrow for some contractors and some other folks, but thought it'd be a great idea to do a 7 minutes of control. So let's talk a little bit about Fin 3.0 and tell the folks at home what Fin 3.0 is, and then we'll just take it from there.
All right. Well, Fin 3.0 is really something that we termed for a combination of 3 products. We've got Fin Builder, which we all know and love from the last couple of years, and Fin Mobile, and then most recently Finstack. And if you kind of look at where we've come over the years, we set out to change the industry kind of incrementally. And the first step was in the user experience. And we felt that a lot of good things were going on in the control systems, but there was this kind of unmet need for better user experiences, whether it be dashboards, digital signage, or really just a better way to get around your building automation system. And so that's really what was the birth of Fin Builder. And wildly successful. A lot of our system integrators love the flexibility, the amount of pizzazz or sex appeal they could put into it. And it was hosted on top of Niagara, which was really cool too, because it leveraged all of that great normalized data that was down inside. Interesting thing happened though. Some of our contractors said, I wish I could do things faster as well. I'm like, okay, it's kind of two sides of the same coin. It's either going to be sexy, you're going to spend some time on it, or it's going to be really fast and you knock it out quick. And that got us thinking. Also during that process, we came out with Fin Mobile, and that was a way of taking that custom graphic and rendering it on a tablet or a mobile device. A number of contractors gave us feedback there and said, trying to do a chiller plan on a 4.5-inch iPad is not going to really do much for me. Wouldn't it be cool if I could get a summary of my points and be able to do overrides from that? And we said, that's a great idea. And then they said, well, while you're at it, could you make it easier for me to edit a schedule? I'm not really fond of the schedule editor that I'm currently using. And then the features just kept on creeping. And said, well, what about histories? What about alarms? I said, hey, jokingly, I said, well, why don't we just throw control in there and we'll have a whole new framework? And ironically enough, that's exactly what happened 2 Niagara summits ago. Jason Briggs and Brian Frank were kind of comparing notes of how the software industry was heading. And we had an epiphany together that if we could take tagging and data modeling, we could take some great software and some people that are really experienced with the industry, bring that together, we could create a next generation. So that's the third facet, which we call Finstack. Originally it was codenamed Yard House, a little history lesson, because that meeting of all that kind of creative juices happened over a full yard of beer at the Niagara Summit property, which was the Yard House.
We actually have a Yard House in Buckhead. We'll have to go check that out.
A little celebratory thing now, 4 years later.
There you go. Yeah,
that would be nice.
We're not shy about celebrating. That's good stuff. Well, that's excellent. Now, a lot of folks are familiar with Niagara.
That's right.
And so I think that there's a little bit of confusion sometimes. Does it replace Niagara? Is it work with Niagara? And the answer to that is yes. But let's talk about, how does it work with Niagara?
Sure. So again, back to the Fin Builder discussion. If you think about Fin Builder as kind of the next third-party tool for doing the user experience. The first one built in is the PX editor. And so FinBuilder works wonderful with Niagara because we can host those graphics just like you host PX pages on a JACE or on a web supervisor. One of the things that we learned though is that when you want to start going a little bit further with automating things, you really need to have more control of the server side. And so that's where Finstack really replaces certain functionality, if not all of things that go on in Niagara. So I think there'll always be a great place for Niagara from a integration and a normalizing standpoint. But I think it's also important to realize that there are some alternatives out there and they can play really well together. So one of the things I'd like to demo to you today is how well Finstack, FinBuilder, FinMobile, and Niagara can play well together.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now, there's something else that we have called Haystack.
That's right.
Haystack, believe it or not, I think is still kind of relatively a new term.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about what Haystack is and then how it's deployed in the software.
Yeah, so J2 Innovations has been a real advocate of taking a problem that we all have in the industry and solving it through what, believe it or not, is already happening in the IT side, and that's tagging and data modeling. Project Haystack is really two things. It's a common set of people getting together to come up with tags to help identify and add meaning to points, for lack of better. That's probably the dominant thing. And it's not a naming convention, but it's really a tagging convention. And that is very flexible. Like if you have a really good idea about VFDs, you can contribute to the community. We've got air handlers, VAVs, boilers, chillers. The list is getting better and bigger every day. It's not a mandatory thing. It's just a, how would you say, a methodology for saying, I have a supply air temperature sensor, and if we all agree to put discharge, air, temp, and sensor tags on it, independent of how it's spelled, then great software can reach down and say, give me all the discharge air temperatures and put them on a scatter plat. And if I want to run analytics, I want to run a work order system, those kinds of software packages rely on the computer doing the work. The analogy that I often use is in Facebook. If Facebook ran their application server the way that we do building automation today, it would take 2 days for something from my marathon to show up on my wall. Why does it happen instantaneously? It's because there's a tag on that file of my picture that says Richmond 2016 Marathon, Scott Muench has a tag, and I love running it. And it knows exactly what folders to put it in because of those tags.
So in a way, for the layman that understands social media, Haystack is sort of kind of like hashtags, right?
It is. It's adding meaning to some event, or in this case, some piece of information in the form of a point or a piece of equipment. That's
See, all you folks that have been trying to get away from hashtags this whole time, you're going to do it one way or the other. So go ahead and buy in.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we're 7 minutes in control, so we try to always keep under 7.
Okay.
And we're doing great. And but I want to have 2 follow-up questions. One is for the building owner, and then one's for the contractor. So, the building owner downtown or the property manager downtown, why is this software important to them? Why should they ask for their integrator to deploy the software?
Well, that's a really big question.
That needs another whole 7 minutes of control,
but
right?
I'll give you the short version. Particularly a large property owner like a college campus, if they've got a number of phases of buildings, and even though those phases might all be standardized now in BACnet, the dirty little secret is that each of those air handlers has a discharge air sensor. I'll come back to that example. And each of the contractors might have done it naming-wise slightly different. And so holistically, that owner cannot really do anything globally without a lot of manual effort. With Haystack, those tags being built into Finstack, the product, you can literally run a query, and in fact the software runs the query and says, I've got a mobile device looking at my chiller plant or looking at all of my air handlers. Tell me what all the discharge air temperatures are right now and show it to me on my iPad. That is a split second away, built into the software, happens automatically. To do that in traditional terms would be hours of labor, linking those up and putting them onto pages and so on.
And if you want to add or omit later, that's a whole other
Correct.
mess,
So anything having to do with ad hoc is immediately available to the to the property owner, and he can now do what-if scenarios across his whole portfolio that would have been cost prohibitive before.
Very cool.
So high ROI because of lower implementation costs is played out because of the tagging, the data modeling, and then software that takes advantage of that.
Very cool. So lastly, if you're a controls contractor or integrator, obviously you're salivating after listening to us, right? I mean, we're two top talents first and foremost, and so this is great production, but more so the content. If they're interested and they want to learn more about this, where do they go and what do they do?
Yeah, I would say our contractors have been really receptive to the idea that the frustrations they felt over the years of having to duplicate and copy and link, having to go back and fix an error in 17 places, just a lot of the tools that really get to be drudgery at the end of the day. There's no nice way to put it. Those all go away. It just becomes a thing of the past. So the fun stuff that a contractor does is still there, and these tools enable them to go even further. And all the crap that they normally would have to do goes away because of the tagging, the data modeling, and the tools. So I encourage them to either get an evaluation kit, sign up as a reseller with StromQuest, come to one of our training classes, pick a project, and we can do a fast track to success together.
Perfect. And we've at StromQuest we've got two guys, Michael and Steven, that are trained up.
That's right.
Good to go, and so we're ready to help you right away. Whatever we can do, and so I promised 2 more questions, but I've got 1 more comment. So, Control Trends Awards nominees are coming out for finalists for nominations, and I understand that J2 has been the winner of a few different categories as far as nominations, and then in January we'll find out if you win.
That's right. So vote often and vote now.
Yeah,
I
vote
guess
early, vote often.
Vote early, vote often.
Very
yeah.
cool.
Thank
Well,
you.
I enjoy it, man. You're a heck of a guy. You're I see you all over. You're at various conferences, and J2's starting to get their hands on a lot of different things, and it's been good stuff. And now that you're a runner, we kind of share that thing, and so it's good, man. So thank you so much. I look forward to Lunch Learn tomorrow. We're going to do another video here in a little bit about the demo, and we'll post that on Control Trends and YouTube. And so good stuff. Scott, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank
Appreciate
you,
you.
Rob. Bye now.